All right, so you guys are really in for a treat these next couple of days. So my name is Mike Ryan, by the way. I run ClickFusion, the automated webinar affiliate network. So a lot of you will be working with me and talking to me afterwards. I've been working with a lot of you so far up until now. Next couple days are going to be awesome. I spend a lot of time working next to Russell and just watching him just fly through business and develop systems and that make money and that are automated, and it just kind of flows, it just happens. And so what we've done over the past several weeks is really get in and dive in and figure out, you know, what are the processes that we do, and let's get these all put down so we can teach people what Russell does to get out there and make money so that he can kind of rub off on you and you can Russellize everything that you do in your business. So the next person that's going to come up I don't think really needs an introduction, but he needs a big round of applause. Russell Brunson.
Thanks, Mike. All right. Well, first off, you guys are in Boise, Idaho in the middle of December. You guys are crazy. I was like really surprised. We set the room up for like 60 people, and you can tell like there's all the chairs are already taken. So we have a great group of people who came out. We appreciate you guys coming out. I am really excited for this weekend. It's something we've been putting together a lot. This is the most prepared I've ever been for any event I've ever done. Anyone who's ever worked with me before, you know, I'm more like the top of my head type person. And this book, like the first 100 pages of the book, I put together by myself. So there's a lot of like lines and fill in the blank. So, but I was pretty proud of it. So it was a labor of love. That's how much I love you guys. But first off, I want to kind of, before I get started, I just want to recognize the caliber of people that are in this room. You know, some of you guys were very modest when you introduced yourselves. We have some amazing people in this room, and I want to make sure that everyone who's here takes advantage of each other. Make sure you're networking and talking, because we have some high-level people in a lot of different industries that are in this room. People doing a lot of money with their automated webinars right now. People making a lot of money other ways. So make sure you take advantage of the time while we're here together. The other thing is I really want to just kind of preface that like all the stuff I'm going to be talking about the next 2 days isn't really my information. I've been on a quest for the last probably, I don't know, 8 or 9 months. Trying to figure this whole thing out and trying to learn this whole thing, and I've gone to a lot of really great teachers and learned a lot of good stuff. And this is kind of me compiling all the different things I've been learning together and kind of giving it to you guys as a system. In fact, if you look here in the book, the last 150 pages, the appendix is actually a report called Supercharge Your Marketing that Rich Schefren wrote about almost 2 years ago. Kind of like prophesying about automated webinars, about how they're the new future. And it took almost 2 years before people caught on to it. And he let me reprint the report back here. So this is something tonight I would recommend when you get to your rooms. Read this report, and it'll kind of really open up your eyes to, you know, a lot of the reason why this whole thing works so well and why it's such an exciting thing to be part of. Now, the real reason why I'm doing this event, again, my goal wasn't to come and like plagiarize everyone and then go teach back their information. That wasn't why we did this whole event. The real reason is we're in the process right now of launching 2 new companies. One of them is called ClickFusion. That's why it says ClickFusion on the front of the book. And what ClickFusion is actually an automated webinar affiliate network. So think of like something like ClickBank. We're building ClickBank for automated webinars. And so as we started kind of building this, once we found a lot of people don't have webinars, don't have automated webinars, and we wanted to build a really good training, systemized training for everybody. So they don't have a webinar, they can build a really powerful webinar, plug it into our system, and be part of our affiliate network. So that's kind of one of the evil reasons why we're doing this whole event, is just to give, you know, my goal is to have all you guys with an automated webinar in our network within 2 months from now. So that's a big kind of one of the main reasons. And then the second company we're launching here, probably, I don't know, March or April, is a company called SecondUpline.com. And we're in the network marketing industry, and we're going to be doing automated webinars for network marketers. And so same kind of thing, this is going to be the videos and the DVDs of this event. And the workbook will kind of be a training system for people who are trying to create an automated webinar to either put into our affiliate network or for their network marketing program. So one of those 2 companies. So that's kind of the real evil reason. So that's why we're doing this event, and you guys should have a lot of fun. I'm going to be giving 100% of my effort. I'm not selling anything here today, so you can keep your wallets in your pockets. And just know that my whole plan, my whole goal for next 2 days is to give as much as I can. And hopefully you guys will get a couple ideas. For those who have webinars, if you can get 1 or 2 ideas from this event, it would be a success. For those who don't, if you can get the vision behind it and build your first webinar, it'll be worth it. So that's kind of my motivation. So I want to talk about kind of like the last 2 years of my life, and also like kind of some stuff prior, just kind of set the stage for this event and why I'm so excited by this topic. If you look back, when I first got started online, man, and Josh Anderson's here. I'm excited Josh was able to come. Josh and I shared an office back, how many years ago was that? Like
2004.
Yeah, back in the day, back when we were both like trying to learn this whole business, and he was living in Rexburg, Idaho, and he moved across here, and we took my basement of my house and we turned it into an office, and he had a desk and I had a desk, and we thought we were so cool trying to be internet marketing nerds, and we had a really good time. We were trying all these different things and learning about like everything, and it was this whole discovery about this whole thing. Some of you guys are probably going through that discovery right now. Some of you guys have been doing this for a while, but for me it was like the most exciting thing in the world. And I was looking at these websites. I remember some of the first websites I saw had these long sales letters. And I at first was really confused. I'm like, I don't understand why these ugly sites have so many words on here. People don't want to read. People want to, and I couldn't, it took me a long time to get that. And then we started seeing how well sales letters worked. I still remember the very first sales letter I ever did was for a product called ZipBrander. And I wrote the sales letter. I thought it was amazing. And then I sent a copy of the software to a couple of people that were big internet marketers online. And this guy named Raymond McNally, he got a copy of the software. And the next morning, there was an email in my inbox. And he said, hey, your software's awesome. This is great, but your sales letter sucks. He's like, so I took a liberty and I rewrote it for you. Here you go. And he wrote a whole long-form sales letter for me, like overnight, because he got so excited by the product. And he sent it to me. And I was like, this is awesome. So I put this sales letter up, and amazingly enough, people started buying the product. I was like, oh my gosh, this whole thing, these things actually work. They actually convince people to buy things. So we started doing sales letters for a long time, and that was kind of the first way I was starting to sell things online. A little while later, I met a guy named Alex Mandossian. Who has ever heard of Alex or seen his stuff? Yeah, and he put out a course called Teleseminar Secrets, and I was like, this sounds kind of cool. It's like a lot easier to talk on the phone than it is to write a long sales letter. So I signed up for Teleseminar Secrets, and I learned how he was doing teleseminars to sell things, and I started doing teleseminars to sell things. And that was kind of the next evolution in my sales. It was great. We get 100, 200, 300 people on the phone. I talk for 60 minutes. At the end of it, I'd offer them to buy something, and a big percentage of people would run and buy the thing. And it was the most amazing thing. I still remember my dad was in town one time. He lives in Utah, and he came up, and I was doing this teleseminar for a guy named Vince James. He wrote a book some of you guys may have read called The 12-Month Millionaire. And we did this teleseminar. My dad's listening in, and I do this whole thing. And then I told people to go buy the book. It was a $300 book. And I can't remember how much we did. It was like $20,000 or $30,000 in sales. And my dad was flipping out. He's like, you made a phone call and you made $30,000. He's like, most people work for an entire year and they don't make that much. And I was like, yeah, this whole teleseminar thing is like the greatest thing in the world. So that was kind of the next evolution, was teleseminars. And I really credit Alex for teaching me the process of how to do a teleseminar. If you guys haven't gone through his course, it'll benefit you in your webinars or anything else, the way he teaches how to get people on a teleseminar, what you do on a teleseminar, post-sale strategies, a whole bunch of really powerful stuff that I've incorporated a lot in my webinars as well. And that's, if you guys have a chance to go through this training, it's great. Then after that, a little while later, we were doing a lot of teleseminars, and then GoToMeeting kind of came out, and that was kind of the next big thing, and people started doing webinars. And so, as is kind of my nature, instead of just going and like doing a webinar, I got really excited, and we put together a webinar summit. We had 90 different internet marketing speakers. Each of them was going to do a webinar. And we did this big, huge thing. It was called the Online Internet Marketer of the Year. Some of you guys may have remembered this. And we had 90 gurus do webinars. So everyone promoted this big webinar thing. We made a whole bunch of money. And then for the next 90 days of my life, I had to promote and do a webinar. And so I spent, it was like 4 or 5 months doing a webinar every single day. And at the end of it, I hated webinars. It was the most horrible experience. I like wanted to get my life back, because all I was doing was promoting a webinar, getting on the webinar, selling, promoting, and it was a long process. So lesson number one, don't do like 50 at once, just do one. Like, so much easier, I promise. But that's where I kind of cut my thing on webinars, and really liked it. The only thing that was kind of a downside of it was you had to be on the webinar. Okay, again, 4 months into that thing, I was so tired and so beat up. And it was like, this is a great way to sell, but man, it's not really what I thought it was going to be, not all it's cracked up to be. And then a little while later, and this is probably in the last 2 years or so, everyone started doing sales videos. And anyone here seen a sales video? Okay, these things were like the most fantastic things in the world, because it was kind of like a sales letter, but way easier to write. It was kind of like a webinar, except for it happened all the time. And so we started building sales videos, and for about 2 years, it was like the greatest, hottest, most amazing thing in the world. And we sold millions and millions of dollars worth of stuff just with simple sales videos. And that was kind of the next evolution. We still do sales videos, but that was kind of the big evolution for us, was doing those. And the next evolution we built a call center. We started calling people on the phone and selling things through the phone, which was very effective as well. And so that was kind of the evolution of how we were selling things online. Okay, and if you look back 2 years ago, actually 2 years ago in like 3 weeks, at that time I had 100 employees. 60 of them were salespeople on the phone dialing. We had 12 coaches fulfilling on coaching. We'd built a machine. It was awesome. We were driving tons of traffic in the front. We'd built a huge continuity program, and everything was just going really, really good. And then 2 years ago, I think it was January 14th or 15th, we got all of our merchant accounts shut down. Okay, now imagine this: you have 100 employees. Your overhead is over $500,000 a month, well over $500,000 a month. But everything, when it's working, everything makes sense, right? And then one day, all of a sudden, we had no money coming in, just instantly, like boom. And that was the scariest feeling of my whole life. I had so much overhead, like it was impossible to like move and react. So I'm like I got to write checks next week, whether money's coming in or not. And it kind of got me stuck in this process. And it was horrible. And we got our merchant account shut off. And about a week and a half later, we got them turned back on. And anyway, a long story. I'm not going to tell you the whole painful process. But for about a year, I was trying to like keep this whole machine running. We have kept and cut people. And finally, in January of this year, it just got too much. And we shut down the call center and kind of shut down our whole business, shrunk everything down really, really small, and just kept the 8 or 10 core people we needed. And at that time, I was like, man, this whole machine we built, all this money was coming, everything we had figured out just wasn't really realistic anymore in today's market. It was hard to keep doing it. I was like, what do I want to do? What do I want to do when I grow up? And that was the question I asked myself. Who here's ever asked themselves that question? Okay, this is a good question. I think everyone should ask themselves at least once every 3 to 6 months, because it really makes you kind of change your whole perspective. And I sat there, we moved into a little small office. We had our 8 people there, and it was my best 8 people, and we're still working on everything. Things are going good. And we kind of sat down and said, what should we do? And I was looking at all the different models and all the different things, and kind of looked at what everybody was doing out there. And one day I got a call from one of my friends. He was a copywriter, and he called me up. And at the time, he was working for Mike Filsame, and he said, "Hey, Mike just laid me off. And he laid off like 20 or 30 other people. I'm just wondering if you're looking for any employees right now." I was like, "Oh no, we just laid off a whole bunch of people as well." And so I felt kind of sick to my stomach for Mike. And so I called Mike up afterwards. I'm like, "Oh man, I know how you feel. We just laid off a whole bunch of people, and I feel so bad. Tell me, what's been happening to you?" And he's like, "Oh no, it's been great." I'm like, "What do you mean?" He's like, we made this automated webinar. We launched it. It's making so much money. He's like, "I cut all my staff. I cut all my overhead, all my people. I shut down every other project except for this one thing because it was making so much money." And I was like, "Are you serious? Like, that's like what I just did, except for it's the good equivalent of what I just did. I cut everyone because how much overhead. He cut everyone because he just wanted to keep all the money." And so he showed me that, and he showed me this webinar, and the webinar was making crazy money, and it didn't take 60 people to sell the product. It didn't take a whole fulfillment team to fulfill on it. It was just one automated webinar that didn't talk back to you, didn't want raises, it didn't want sales commissions. It just did its thing every single day, day in and day out. And so I was watching Mike doing this webinar. I was like, that is amazing. And he told me, he said, there's this report that Rich Sheffrin wrote. You should go read it. So I got this report, same one that's in your manual, and that night I read the whole thing, and I was like, holy crap, this is like just blowing my mind. I was so excited. Okay, so this is probably in beginning of March of this year, and then I was out at Bill Glazer's mastermind meeting, and afterwards I went over, and Yannick Silver was doing his big underground event, so I was over there, and lo and behold, Rich Sheffrin was there at dinner. So I walked into Rich, I'm like, dude, where have you been? I haven't seen you in like 2 or 3 years. Like, he just completely disappeared off the map. And I just assumed he went bankrupt or lost his business. I just assumed that he just had lost everything, right? So I started talking to him. He's like, yeah, like 3 years ago, we were going through the same struggle you're going through right now. He's like, we shut down everything. Overhead was too much. He's like, we put all of our eggs in one basket, and we decided we're going to build an automated webinar. We built out the webinar, and he's like, I think his staff's like 5 people now. He's like, we're making millions and millions of dollars. I got 5 people. He's like, it's the most stress-free life. He's like, I don't go to events anymore. I don't speak. I don't sell anything. He's like, I just have this one little webinar, and it basically, that's a good ringtone. I feel like I'm a fairy or something, or a leprechaun. Anyway, so he's telling me, he's like, yeah, so I launched this webinar 3 years ago. He's like, that's why you haven't heard from me, you haven't seen me, because I've just been doing this webinar. And he's like, I don't have to do anything else. And I was like, this is amazing. I said, Rich, can I come out to your office? I just want to like pick your brain and see how you're doing it. So next month I flew out to his office, spent a day with him. He showed me his whole process. I called Mike on the phone about 20 times, picked his brain, and just was trying to learn this whole thing and seeing how it was working, and got really excited. And so that's kind of the first part. And then from there, we said, okay, what's the webinar we're going to build out? And we spent a lot of time trying to think about that. And a lot of you guys are here, part of our .com Secrets IMA program. And that was the webinar we decided to build out. And it was kind of a nervous thing, so I spent about 6 months building the whole process, from the webinar to the back end to the fulfillment. We spent a lot of time like rebuilding the whole thing, getting ready for the webinar launch. And we had a lot of our eggs in that basket. I was really, really nervous, like, okay, please let this thing work. And we launched the first day, and luckily it did really, really good. Let me step back. Before we launched the webinar, Mike Filson had spent probably, I don't know, a year and a half building out this automated webinar script. I should remember he sent an email to like 10 people and said, hey guys, this webinar I'm doing, it's the greatest thing in the world. It's made me more money than anything I've ever done in the past. This script's awesome. I'm not going to sell the script to anyone in the world except for a couple close buddies. So if you'll pay me $10,000 and 3% royalty on your webinar, I'll sell you this script. And I was like, sweet. So I sent him 10 grand. I found out Mike Dillard sent him 10 grand, and I guess we were the only two guys that sent him 10 grand. And he was, I think he was expecting like thousands of people to send him all this money, and it was just us two. And so, and Mike actually launched his webinar. Some of you guys, have you seen the Elevation Group webinar? Right now, they're doing $100,000 a day with that webinar. Okay, that sound exciting? Who would like to make 100 grand a day? That's my new goal. Yeah, so Dillard did launch his and it was amazing. And then they launched Dillard's, and they came back to build out mine. And we started building it out, and at that time, Mike's programmer quit, and this other guy quit, and I was left with this script that was not finished, not completed. And Mike's like, sorry, all my guys kind of disappeared. And I was like, it's all right, we'll figure it out. And so at that time, I just started working with this programmer named Todd. And Todd was like, well, send me Mike's script, I'm going to look at it. He looked at it really quick, and then he disappeared for like a week. I couldn't get a hold of him, I'm like, dude, he just ripped me off. Like, I sent him the script, and he disappears off the face of the earth. And then he pops back up, and he pops back up one day, and he's like, hey, how's it going? I'm like, dude, where have you been? Like, I need some feedback on this thing. He's like, well, I looked at Mike's script, and it's pretty good. There's some bugs on it and some things like that. And he's like, what do you think about if we just built the whole thing from scratch right now? And he's like, you mentioned before building a webinar affiliate network. What if we just build a whole network from scratch, and we launch it? It'll be amazing. And I was like, well, we don't have time for that, you know. And he's like, well, I thought you'd probably say that. So that's why I haven't been online for the past week. He's like, I just built the whole thing and it's done. I was like, are you serious? Like, you built that entire thing in 7 days? And he's like, yeah. So anyway, it was amazing. So we put our webinar on that. We tested it out. We've been rolling it for the last 4 months or so. It's been doing great. We've got, I don't know, probably 10 or 15 people. We're building out webinars and network as well. A couple will actually be rolling out next week or so. So we're testing out the platform right now, but it's working fantastic for us. So we launched our webinar about 4 months ago. Right now, it's netting over $10,000 a day, which is great. You take $10,000 is basically, we're running all our stuff through ClickBank. So ClickBank takes their check, they pay the merchant, and what we get is about 10 grand a day afterwards. So if you look at gross, we're probably anywhere from $20,000 to $30,000 gross a day. I was really happy and content with that until I was in Mexico last week, and Dillard's partner was bragging about how they're making $100,000 a month in their webinar, and now I'm angry. So I hope that gets you guys motivated to set your bar really high. Because, again, you told me a week ago someone could do 100 grand a day in a webinar, I wouldn't have believed it. Now that's my new goal. So anyway, in the last 4 months, we've grossed over $1 million. The first 30 days we grossed over $1 million, and we could have gone a lot faster, but we slowed it down. For those of you guys who went through our IMA program, the support side of it we tried to really be good on. We've hired 4 now support people who are supporting it, and so the growth was a lot slower just because we were trying to get people in place, get things systemized, find out the bugs. But you can grow and ramp these things up very, very quickly. Anyway, so that's kind of what we've done the last 90 days, and it's the most exciting thing in the world for me. Next year, our big plans are again to launch the affiliate network and then also the network marketing network, and that's why this event's here. So my goal for the next day and a half, 2 days, is to give you guys as many ideas and many things as I've been able to learn the last 6 months or so with this, and hopefully give you guys some tools to take your webinars and take them to the next level, and that is the game plan. Sounds good? Yeah. All right. Okay, so I've got a lot to cover. Anyone's ever heard me speak before? I talk really fast, I've been told, but hopefully you'll get some good ideas. So we're going to be talking, this first section we're going to be talking about is your webinar timeline, and this is probably going to go till about lunchtime. We're going to go through this, unless... if you guys don't give me good feedback, then I get really nervous and I go really fast. For example, a couple of years ago, we did these events here in Boise, and we did a bunch of radio ads, and we drove these events. We had 3 of them during the day. And the first event had a group about half this size, and the audience was really excited. Like, you tell they're excited to be there, and they gave me feedback, and it lasted like 90 minutes long. And the second audience, there were like 4 dudes in the front right here, and they were all kind of like not happy to be there. You tell like they weren't happy, and they did the exact same presentation in 20 minutes. So a lot of this is going to depend on like how much fun we have. If you guys are just very quiet, and I'm going to get nervous and go really, really fast, or we can have fun and hopefully get a lot more value from everybody. So if you turn your books, page number 2, this is the outline I'm recovering during this presentation. There's a lot to go over. And again, I want to give credit where credit's due. A lot of this stuff is not my own ideas. I spent a day out in Florida last December, about a year ago right now, with Dustin, Dave, and Imran, these guys. They did a power day with me. I got a lot of elements for my webinar from them. I learned a lot of stuff from Alex Mendojan, from Armin Moore. So this is kind of like from all my different teachers I've worked with, this is what my formula kind of is right now. Everyone's got different ways to do it. This is kind of my formula. You can take what you want. If you don't like parts, don't worry about it. There's nothing set in stone. I've done webinars with people that shouldn't have worked, that worked really good, and other ones, people, they have the script and they follow it to a T and it doesn't work. So a lot of it's just kind of, it's an art form. It's not, at least in my mind, it's less of a science and more of an art form, and something you kind of got to fill out and play with, and if something doesn't work, you tweak it and you change it. Okay? You can ask my brother, Scott, the video guy. We've done probably 4 or 5 versions of the .com Secrets local webinar in the last 90 days. We took the same webinar and then we're like, oh, let's do this. We tweak little things and edit things and change things. And so we're always adding in new things like D's. And I don't know if you've seen the new webinar. You're in the new webinar. And you're in the webinar. So you guys are like, we got some great testimonials. These guys making great money. So we put them back in the webinar. And so this, again, something that the nice thing about automated webinar is it can evolve and change and tweak. It doesn't have to be, it's not like where you step up on stage, you give your presentation, you got one shot, and if you miss it, you're like, oh, crap. I just went home with nothing, okay? This is different. This is something where you build it, and it's always a testing and a tweaking and a changing process until it gets better and better and better. Okay, that was one thing that I got from Rich Scheffer. He said prior to them launching their webinar, he said they come in the office, okay, what are we going to launch this week? And they build something, they launch it, okay, what are we going to launch next? And it's this whole process of like continually launching business after business after business. Okay, and we got in that cycle a lot in our business as well, and it's a hard thing to keep doing. Okay, you get burned out very fast. He said when he had his webinar, he said every day they walk in, look at, okay, here's the whole webinar process. What should we tweak today? Well, let's try adding a music intro. Oh, let's see if that helped or it hurt. Oh, it hurt. Okay, let's pull that back out. Let's try changing the headline. Oh, that worked today. And every day there's tweaking little pieces of this webinar. So don't look at this as like this is a quick project that's in and out. Look at this as this is a long-term business you're building, and for the next year, 5 years, 10 years, you can keep tweaking and changing things, and that's a good thing. Okay? If you look at it that way, you'll be less stressed about making sure it's perfect. Okay? And a lot of people are so concerned about things being perfect. We used to do these events once every quarter in our office. It was kind of like a very beginning event, like how to create an info product and stuff like that. And I remember there was this lady with her family. She was one of my favorite people that came through our group. And I used to tease her because she was so concerned about doing things perfect. She asked a question, and I'm like, well, you can do this. She's like, wait. Which one do I need to do? I'm like, you can do both. I mean, just try both of them. One of them will work better than the other. I don't know which one. Just try both. No, I need to know like which is the right way to do it. I'm like, there's no right way to this thing, okay? It's kind of like one of those things you just feel around and you play with a little bit. So that's very much the same thing with this as well. So again, I'm going to give you guys kind of my timeline. And is this on? Awesome. Okay, this is called an Elmo. This is my new favorite thing. Hopefully it'll work well. So when I create any webinar, what I basically do, is this going to work? Can you guys see that very well? We want to do a whiteboard, but those are usually small. So hopefully this will work better. I'm afraid if I turn the lights off, I'm going to disappear though on the camera. Should we try that though and see what happens?
Yeah. There's lights.
Oh, the lights on here? Yes. How do you do that? You think? Pop on. Who's our techno guys in the group? Yeah. I've actually got an automated webinar on the Elmo. Lights. There's a button that says lights. Think that'll be the right one? Boom. That's why we brought you guys along, so you can help me with the technical part. Oh, sweet. I can zoom out. Awesome. Okay. There is my timeline. So we did a webinar. Oh, man, I'm so horrible with stuff like this. So I get excited about something, and then like everything's like focused on that for the next like 24 hours, right? So I had this idea for a webinar. I was like, this is going to be exciting. So I emailed our list. We're doing this webinar tomorrow. It's going to be amazing. Everyone show up to it. And we didn't have a webinar or anything like even remotely started yet. And so I don't know if Josiah here is yet. Josiah's one of the guys that works with us. He watched me. I went on my whiteboard and I drew a big timeline like this. I started mapping. He's like, wait, let's get this whole thing on tape. So he got his little flip camera and taped me for like 20 minutes timelining out this whole thing. And I went and busted out the slides really quick. And the whole process from brainstorming to the webinar happening was like under an hour. And that's creating the slides as well. And it did really, really good. So this is kind of like my process. I know everyone's minds don't think the same as mine. But again, hopefully take from these things the pieces that are going to help you in your webinar, okay? All right. So when I look at my webinar, here's the timeline of it. Before I get into the timeline, the very first thing that I want to know about right here, again, on page number 2, you look at the outline, is the hook and the story, okay? And this is, I think, the most important part of a webinar, is how are you going to get someone onto the webinar, okay? If you don't have a good hook, nobody is ever going to show up to your webinar. For example, the other day, we did a webinar with Brittany Lynch. Anyone here was on that webinar? Okay, it did fantastic for us. the copy she gave me initially was really boring and really dry. And I was like, nobody is going to come and, it was like, how to create a niche Facebook profile and make money. I'm like, that's not, there's nothing exciting or sexy or like fun about that. I was like, what's going to be exciting, or what's the right hook? And I was thinking about it for a while, and it was about Thanksgiving time. I said, okay, Christmas is like 2 months away, and the thing on her webinar was really cool is that she was going to pick a niche, go into Facebook, and make $10,000 in that niche in 6 weeks, and everyone could basically just copy her, like, okay, make the same ad she did, just kind of copy her. And in theory, if you copied her, you could just do the same thing, make 10 grand as well in the same niche, right? Or pick a similar niche and just follow the process. So the headline and the hook that I came up with was make $10,000 by Christmas. Okay? Now that headline, that hook was amazing. The open rate in the email was one of the best we've ever done. Click-through rate was one of the best we've ever done. The registration was one of the best we've ever done. Show-up rate was amazing, and sales on the webinar were awesome as well. I think we ended up like $8 or $9 EPC on the webinar, which you'll learn tonight about EPCs. It was amazing for us, okay? We sold 250 copies of her $700 or $800 thing, which was amazing. Like, just blew my mind that we would sell that many, especially this close to Christmas. Traditionally, Christmas time for me has always been something that struggled selling. But we picked the right hook and the right angle, and it worked. Okay. So for you guys, I want to make sure that when you're thinking about this process, today, what's the thing that's going to get someone onto the webinar? Okay. And a couple of things on page number 3 here. One of the big things is I always want to try to tie it to some type of an attractive character. Okay, if you guys ever heard me speak before in my events, I like to talk about attractive characters. What that is somebody that the audience can bond to. Okay, now sometimes that person's going to be me. It's going to be me saying, hey, my name's Russell Brunson. I did this really cool thing. Come check it out. I want to show you how this works. Okay? Now one thing about that usually works a lot better when people don't know who you are. After people know who you are for a while, that works less and less effectively. Okay? Because they're like, oh, well, crap, you're Russell Brunson. You're a genius. I'm like, are you serious? Ask my wife, my mom, ask my friends. I'm not a genius. But they think you are because you're in the spotlight, right? So eventually that starts being less and less effective. Okay, so when we started building the .com Secrets Local webinar, I didn't want to be like, hey, I'm Russell. Check out how cool I am. I wanted to find someone else to be my attractive character. Okay, so if you guys have seen the video, who's my attractive character for .com Secrets Local? Brett Curry, yeah. So Brett had gone through the system, made a bunch of money, so we used him as the attractive character. Okay, because it's so much more powerful if I can say, hey, check out this guy over here, how much money he made with it. Okay, or Brett can say, look what I did over here. Russell's the person that showed me how to do it. Okay, so for me, the longer I've been in this business, the less I like making me the attractive character, the more I like finding one of our case studies or students to be the attractive character, because it's such a stronger positioning. Okay, it's a lot more believable to, a lot of times than you saying that you're the person. Okay, now if you're just getting in this business and you're brand new or whatever, or people don't know who you are, a lot of times it's good to tell your story, especially if it hasn't been told a lot. For me, it's tough because I've told my story so many times, and I apologize that most of you guys have heard it probably 1,000 times. But find a good story, and some kind of attractive character they can bond to. Okay, for me, Brittany Lynch, we did her webinar. She was the attractive character that obviously. Okay, she used to work for Google. She knew these insider secrets that nobody else knew about. That's why she can do this and nobody else can do it. Okay, so that becomes a fun story. People are like, oh crap, she worked at Google. Of course she can do it. I can just copy what she's doing. Okay, so that's the first thing. The second thing is figuring out what's your hook or what's your angle. Okay, and again, these things all kind of tie together, but it's so important. In our info product seminar we talk a lot about like the diet industry, okay? And I was in Mexico last week with all the big diet gurus, which was really fun. We had, like Mike Geary was there, a bunch of those guys like that, and we hung out in Mexico. And they're all selling basically the same thing: how to look good, right? How to get a six-pack, how to look big bulked out, whatever it is. They all are kind of selling the same thing. Can you look like the whole weight loss industry? Like, has it changed very much in the last 10 billion years? Okay, like right now I have a personal trainer. I've lost 7 or 8% body fat in the last 2 months. Been working out with this guy. It's been great. And what's amazing is, guess what? He's telling me to lower my caloric intake, make sure I take the right kind of calories, not the wrong kind of calories, and I got to work out, I got to lift weights, and I have to exercise. Okay?
Eat less and exercise.
Yeah, and I'm paying him $50 or $60 per session to have him tell me this. Okay, 3 times a week. Okay. But what am I looking for? I'm looking for the results, okay? You look at the weight loss industry, look at these guys. They're some of the best at is finding the hook, okay? Like one of the hooks is the every other day diet, okay? You're like, oh crap, the every other day diet. I can eat whatever I want every other day, okay? And the whole hook of it is basically like starve yourself today, eat whatever you want today, starve yourself, and after 7 days, in theory, guess what you've done? You've taken less calories in, okay? Like, it's the same thing. So it's all about finding the hook, and these guys make a little hook, and boom, they sell millions and millions of dollars worth of their products, okay? So the hook is so important. Again, look at the industries that are really oversaturated like that. Look at the weight loss, internet marketing, things that are oversaturated, and look at the different hooks, because I promise you the core systems behind most of these things are exactly the same. Okay, it's just what's the hook. And if you find the right hook, that's what gets people to open the email, gets people to click on the link, click on a banner ad, show up on a webinar. It's that hook, okay? The better the hook, the more likely they are to show up. The next two things here on page 3 are specific tangible numbers and result-based stories. I know a lot of people are really nervous because the whole FTC thing, they're afraid to share results. I have dealt a lot with my FTC attorneys, and I feel comfortable with like kind of what we do with ours. But if you can have some kind of result-based story with specific numbers, that's always going to do better for you. Okay? If you can say, hey, so-and-so lost 63 pounds in 6 weeks using this, that's going to be a lot better than, hey, how to lose 6 inches from your waist. Okay? 'Cause as soon as you make it specific and tangible, then they can relate to that. Okay? You get rid of the specifics and tangibility, it makes it a lot harder. Okay? Everything will drop down. Kind of the guidance we got from our FTC lawyer, and again, I'm not a lawyer. I don't even like lawyers. You guys should definitely question a lawyer if you have anything. I'm just telling you like what I feel comfortable with. I do not feel comfortable doing income-based things. So I would never say how to make $1 million tomorrow. Crap, what's the headline on this? Before this book goes live, we need to edit that. Everyone needs to edit the headline. So I did what I would not do in like a sales letter on the book here. Because on a book, you guys aren't hopefully going to go to the FTC and be like, well, Russell told me I'd be a millionaire in 90 days. You could, and I'll freaking find you and track you down. No, basically, what I feel comfortable with is the income-based thing. The income-based thing is how to make $1 million tomorrow. Okay. What I feel comfortable with, my FTC lawyer is kind of given us, made me feel comfortable with is if I can share like what you did. So I say how D Price made $2,500 3 days after our webinar. Because I'm not saying you're going to make it. I'm saying this is hers. Okay. Now again, I know some people who won't do that because they don't feel comfortable, and so I would recommend talking to a lawyer, especially like someone who knows the FTC law, just because that's kind of a gray area. But the more result-based things, the more tangible numbers you can put into something, the better it's always going to be. Okay, which is why the FTC doesn't like us doing it as much, because it works so dang good. So just know there's a fine line there. Whatever you feel comfortable with, and do consult an attorney. Okay. So that's the first thing is the hook, and again, the hook is going to drive the whole rest of this thing. The better your hook, the better it's going to be. One of the best promoting webinars we ever did was Mr. FBX, and the hook on that one was how I built 100,000 person Facebook following in 48 hours. Okay, that's just like a huge hook. Like 48 hours is tangible, right? 100,000 people is like a number that's, or a million, was a million people, 100,000 people. It's a number of people like, man, if I had 100,000 followers, how much money could I make? And I did it in 48 hours, I got to be on this webinar. Okay, so again, tangible, specific, things like that people can see and be like, I want that result right now. Okay, all right. Okay, so now we're going to get into the actual webinar. So here comes my timeline. I'm going to timeline things out. The first thing I'm going to be doing here is I'm going to be looking for what is my attention grabber. Now when I do this, I usually draw lines like this, and I draw a little picture right here of what my slide's going to be. And slide number 2 will go down here. This is how I timeline out my webinar. Again, I usually sketch this whole thing out like this, and I pull up my PowerPoints and start busting out slides as fast as I can. Okay, so the very first slide I'm looking for is something to do with an attention grabber. Okay, and everyone's attention grabber can be different. In the .com Secrets local one, it sounds a little bit like this. Okay, and this is page number 4. I have the script here. It says, something like, "Hi, this is Russell Brunson. Thank you so much for being on this webinar. This may sound strange, but congratulations on one of the most important decisions you've made in your entire life. I know it didn't seem like much, but showing up on this webinar was a move I believe will change the course of your future for the better." And I mean that. I want you to understand how fortunate you are. I want you to understand, as you hear the sound of my voice right now, there were hundreds of thousands of people, I think he would change that to hundreds, maybe thousands, hundreds of thousands of people who want to be where you are right now. I can actually see dozens of them trying to log in right now, but they can't get in because it's already filled to capacity. I warned you this would fill up, and it's already happened on cue. Okay, so that's how we did in .com Secrets Local. This is to catch your attention, like, hey, this isn't just some like nice, happy thing. People want to be here. You got a slot. Do not miss out on that spot. Okay, so that's one way we got people's attention. Another way, if you look at, we've added a couple different attention grabbers to the newest version of our webinar. One of them was we created this really cool software called Your Local Shortcut that helps you find and scrape leads and stuff like that in your local market. So what we did is the next attention grabber we put in there said, and by the way, at the end of this webinar, we're going to be giving you guys a free copy of the software. The software normally sells for $97, but if you stay for the entire webinar, we're going to give it to you for free. This software is so powerful. Look at this video testimony from Brian Delaney. He's one of our first beta testers in it. He's been using it for the last 8 months. Let me show you how much money he's made with this software. And I got a little video of Brian saying, hey, the software that Russell gave me is amazing. Month 1 we did this much, month 2 we did this much. And he kind of showed his case study with software. And I jumped back in. Okay, so you want that software for free, make sure you stay to the end. I'm going to give it to everybody at the end. Okay, and what did I just do? I set a hook. I grab their attention. Now they're like, crap, I can't leave because I want that software. I could be just like Brian and make a ton of money. Okay? So it works good. So if you have something like that, you can put it at the end. Something to grab their attention and get them there. Okay? I've seen people do it where like, at the end of this webinar, I'm going to be giving away a free iPod, or I'm going to be giving away cash, or something like that to grab someone's attention. Okay? I like those things because it keeps them on. When we added the software thing, and you look at our analytics and stuff, because our webinar is long. If you watch my whole webinar now, it's 2 hours long. It didn't start that way. We just keep adding stuff and keep growing and growing. And we had people who were staying till the end, but there's always obviously a percentage were dropping off. So we added that software thing in. Our increase people staying to the end is just skyrocketed because everyone wants that free software. And what's cool about it is it's like a watered down version of the software. So then when I do and I'll talk about this more at the end in the close, they get that software for free, but then if they want the souped out, like tricked out version with all the bells and whistles, they got to invest in the course, and then they get the whole thing. Okay? And so that's kind of another thing you can do. Okay, but grabbing the attention is big. All right. Now the next step after I grab their attention, so here's my attention. Attention right here. My next slide, or my next set of slides is going to be called opening a loop. Okay. Now I'm not going to get a lot into like NLP, but if you guys want to learn cool stuff, like go and study NLP. It's the most fascinating, fun thing to learn about. But one of the concepts in NLPs they talk about is loops, okay, opening and closing loops. Mark Joyner was my very first like real mentor. He used to call this the Zeigarnik effect. I can never say it right, which is a military term. But basically what the concept is, and you guys see this every single day when you watch TV, okay? When you're watching, and you guys like shows like The Bachelorette, they are fantastic at this. I don't watch that show personally. But if I did, I know that Chris Harrison, at the end of every single commercial break, says, when you get back, and he hooks you, right? He said, so up next, you'll find out how blah, 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 and kind of hooks you on this whole thing. You see like the most traumatic thing that could possibly happen in this thing, and you're about to flip the channel because it's kind of boring, and all of a sudden you're like, oh crap, I got to find out what happens, okay? That's called the Zeigarnik effect. You're setting a hook. You're opening a loop, and you don't close that loop till further down, okay? Inside Edition is great at this. The News is good at this. All these shows that they thrive off how long you stay on the show, they're fantastic at this. They open a loop and they close it later on, okay? What's interesting, if you look at it, usually if they open a loop over here, so they open this right here, saying, okay, at the end of this webinar, you're going to learn this, this, and this, and this, okay? Now, somewhere during this webinar, you close that loop, okay? And what happens in your mind is your mind subconsciously is going to go crazy till someone closes that statement, okay, till that loop is closed. Consciously, you forget about it, but if I say, okay, in a few minutes from now, I'm going to show you one secret I used that got me 500,000 people to watch my webinar in 24 hours. Before I get to that, though, I want to focus over here on the most important, okay, so I cut right there. Now, for the next, until I answer that question, that's always going to be sitting there in your head. You're going to feel like this uneasy feeling. It's going to drive you crazy. Okay, you're not going to be able to turn off the webinar because you want to find out that thing I just opened. Okay, now if you're smart about it, I open that loop at the very beginning. I close it over here somewhere in the middle. But during this time, during this gap in the middle, guess what I've done? I've opened some other loop here. Okay, and then I close it over here. So that way I'm dragging you along. I'm pulling you along this webinar. Okay, so throughout I'm always opening and closing loops, opening and closing loops. Okay, now at the very beginning, what I like to do, on page number 5 here, I talk about it. But what I like to do is I want to, first off, if I told them a story about the webinar, I want to kind of tell them this, I want to retell this story and use that to open my loop. Okay, so let's just say, for example, it was Brittany Lynch's webinar. So I would say something like, we're so thankful to have you guys on the webinar right here. As I told you guys before, Brittany used to work for Google. She made a lot of money over there. But what we're going to talk about is even more important than that. We're going to show you how she, what we're going to show you on this webinar, she's actually going to pick a niche with you guys. You guys can pick any niche you want. And during that niche, she's going to show you how to make $10,000 before Christmas using that niche. Okay, it's going to be really, really awesome. But before we get to that, I want to introduce Brittany and tell you about her. Okay, so I just opened up the loop. I kind of retold the story that got them on the webinar. Okay, because if you don't retell the story, people can be like, am I in the right webinar? Am I in the right place? So I like to kind of retell the story right here and then use that to open my first loop. Okay, and I'm going to be promising the big solution. What's the big solution they're promised? Okay, for .com Secrets Local, you're going to be promised you're going to learn an opportunity you can do in your hometown, working from home, to make, Brett Curry's making $96,000 a year with this so far. Okay, that's the big solution. Okay, now all you guys should have some big solution you can promise people. Okay, if not, you need something like that. Okay, your webinar needs to be a solution to some problem they're having. Okay, all right. Again, on page number 5, talk about some giveaways. We've done that. The free software to keep them to the end as well. Okay, so those are some good loops. Alex Mandossian, when he taught teleseminar secrets, what he talked a lot about was timeline of a teleseminar. I still remember this when I went to the training the first time. He said, "This is your teleseminar. They come in. You got 5 minutes right here. He's like at the 10-minute mark, so that's when people start dropping off. They can't get on and see, am I interested? Nope, I'm off. So like you got 10 minutes really here to get them excited about what's going to be happening over here. Okay, and over here you're at 50 minutes, and over here at 60. This is right here. Your whole goal is to get them hooked, get them excited, give away a free gift or whatever it is to get them to over here. Because if you can do that, they're going to stay for the content piece. So right here in the middle is all content, and down here is where you start your pitch, basically, right? So your whole goal is to get them from here and draw them over here. Same kind of thing here. So I'm getting that person in. What do I have to suck them in? So again, it could be case study, it could be free product, could be there's a lot of things you can do, but some kind of something to suck them in. Okay. And again, everyone's going to be different on that. Okay.
Is it okay if I ask a question?
Yeah, grab a microphone if you ask a question, so we can get the microphone, so we can get it on as well.
Do you know what's typical for a drop-off rate in there? The webinar that I said I had this doing well, the last promoted about a month ago, had $11.61 EPC. So I'm
For affiliates or for you?
to my own list.
Okay.
So, however, the drop-off rate in the first 8 minutes was 55%. And it's killing me. So I'm assuming that's high.
Yeah, that's high.
Okay, what's typical? Or do you know? Do you have any idea? Or?
I wish.
Or
I
what
could
do you
pull my
shoot for?
stats ahead of time. I can pull my stats tonight and find out a little more. I don't even know. Anyone else who do a webinar here who knows their stats off typical drop-off? Right here?
Yeah, actually, in the first 10 minutes, we generally see an increase coming in. Our drop-off occurs about 20, 25 minutes, and it's about 5 or 6%.
Okay, so for the microphones, he said basically the first 10 minutes he's seen a big increase, and then during later he drops off. Now, when you're doing live web, is that a live webinar or an automated?
That's automated or live, same one, same results.
Because okay, so with our automated, basically like if you show up 10 minutes late, it starts like 5 seconds into it, so it sounds like you just caught in the middle, but it's still in. So for us, we wouldn't really see the spikes. It's all based off of when they start the video.
Yeah,
I'm not
mine's
sure
the same.
exactly.
I wouldn't be able
That
to.
is obviously high. What are you doing anything right now to hook them to pull them through, or you're just
No,
getting the
my
hardcore
structure
people to
is
stay?
I just use the same way that when I give the presentation live in front of a group. So it's
when they can't leave.
exactly that's what
locked in.
that's what I'm missing is the. Anyhow, I'm already getting some ideas about how to rectify that.
Cool.
But I'm just wondering of like what would be. I don't know anyone's webinar other than my own, so I have no way of knowing like is 20% good or 30 or whatever.
Yeah,
But
I'll try to pull our stats tonight and let you know tomorrow what ours are, but I don't know on top of my head.
yeah, just a ballpark target is all I'm looking for.
Yeah.
Thanks.
I'd say less than 50% would be my first ballpark for you.
Yeah, thanks.
But one thing I would say, like, if you watch the newest version.com Teach Local, we're setting a couple of loops like this, okay? The one thing I talked about, I shared Dee's story. I said, look, now this webinar is going to be about 90 minutes long, get ready, but one of our students, she watched this, and 3 days later, she made her very first sale. Let me tell you about Dee, and I tell her whole story. She's a great grandma, she got grandkids and great grandkids, and it's the most amazing thing. And she made me 3 days afterwards. So just watch this whole thing, and you could, if you follow her system, I'm not saying you will, but man, what if you did? Just imagine what that would be like. Okay, so you're hooking really fast. We do the testimonial one, we do the software one, and we do the big solution one. So we do 3 hooks at the very beginning right there. Yeah, over here. Do you have? Oh, no comment. No comment. Ken.
Sorry.
We have technical difficulties. Okay, so yeah, if you guys are seeing, the one nice thing about most of the automated webinar software, the good ones at least, is you're able to see the timeline, like how long people are on, where they're dropping off. So what we're doing now is like going back and fortifying the drop-off points. Okay, so you see, hey man, at minute 43, I'm offending a lot of people because they're all dropping off. Maybe I should quit cursing during my webinars. Whatever it is, you can kind of start seeing those things. I just kidding, I don't curse. I say crap a lot. That's the worst swear word I'll ever say. So, and I used to when I do events, I used to try to always not say that word because some people it's offended. And I went to Tony Robbins' event. He drops the F word every 3rd word. I was like, crap, I can say crap, right? So, yeah, back here.
Russell, who are you using to host your automated webinars?
The host of the video or
Yeah, the video.
Amazon? We stream everything from Amazon.
Okay, we're using Stealth.
Oh, so you guys just stop. So we have, I was talking earlier about ClickFusion, our automated webinars. So those are our own platform.
Okay.
Yeah, we run off our own platform.
Okay.
Yeah. There's some other ones out there that are good. None of them are great except for ours, but I'm just gonna, there's my open loop. Okay. Okay. All right, so I grabbed your attention. Okay, now I've grabbed your attention. This is where you got to kind of prove that you are worth listening to. And this is like where I put in my credibility piece. Now, when I went to Dustin and Dave, they talked about story up and story down, right? Is that what you guys call it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so like build your story up. So like, hey, I was a normal kid just like all you guys. I was going to college, and then I got married, and I found out it costed a lot of money to be married. Anyone who's been married? It's expensive, right? And so I was trying to figure out how can work and make money, and I tried all sorts of things, and I spent 2 years trying this and that and this and that, and I failed here, and I failed here, and I failed here, and nothing worked, and all of a sudden, boom, something happened. The lights came down, everything made perfect sense to me. I went out there, and I made this and this and this, and I made a whole bunch of money, and then you start dropping all your street cred pieces, okay? So if anyone's been at any of my webinars or any of my speaking gigs, what are my street cred things? I hung out with Tony Robbins in Fiji. I got an airplane. It says .com Secrets Air on the side of it. All these people made money because they listened to me. Okay, so I start throwing in all your like street cred. Okay, so all you guys need to start like building in your portfolio of street cred. Okay, that stuff's really important. Okay, and you can drop them a million different times. Okay, I get so tired of telling my same story, but every time I tell it, someone's like, "You have an airplane? That's the coolest thing I've ever heard." I'm like, "Ah, well, you know, it's pretty cool." But I'm tired of telling the story too. Okay, you hung out with Tony Robbins? Like, yeah, it was pretty cool. Okay, and so those little things like that build up your credibility. So think about in your life, even if something sounds stupid, you can make it sound really, really cool. Okay, just think about things like Brittany Lynch. She used to work at Google. Okay, it was an internship. She was there for a summer for a couple months, and she was out. But man, she used to work at Google. She was an insider. She saw all that blah blah blah. Okay, what are your street cred pieces do you have? Okay, because all you guys have some kind of street cred. I promise you, whatever niche, whatever market you're in. And again, it can be you. It can be things you do with your students. But you need to have those things in there. Okay, so the story piece. Again, it's usually like you're taking them on a journey with you. So, hey, I was just like you, okay? Man, if you're doing weight loss, I used to be 500 pounds, just like you, and then I tried this, and I tried this, and I tried this, okay? You're building empathy with them. I tried the same things you did. We failed here, we failed here, we failed here, we failed here, but then I stumbled upon something, the Holy Grail, the thing that actually worked, okay? That's the big thing you want to do, and then you kind of tell, because of that, here's the results that happened to me, or the results that happened to my students, or the results that, you know, whatever it is. You share those results like that, and now they've walked that path with you, and they've come with you. They're like, man, I tried everything too. I tried that guy. I tried all the other gurus. They're all scam artists. They're horrible people. And then boom, you have this transition. You kind of left them there, and they're like, I want to go there with you. Like I want to come with you. Please let me come with you. Okay, and that's what your goal is to do. Okay, so that's your story piece. Okay, it's your story up, your story down. Again, the first piece of it, the first part's empathy. You try and build the empathy. And then you're talking about how you found the solution, something that changed your life, and now you're kind of bringing them with you. Come on, let me show you what life's like over here. Okay, Dan Kennedy talks about the guru on the mountain. He's like, you're the guru on the mountain. You're bringing them up. You're having them come up to you. Okay, like, come on, let me show you what I figured out over here. Okay, you guys are here because 4 months ago we launched our automated webinar and it's doing great. Okay, so come, let me show you what's happening. Come on over here. You guys want to see this too? Come on. Okay, that's what I was doing with you guys. That's how come. Freaking, how many 8 of you guys are here in Boise, Idaho in December in a freezing cold morning? Because you had empathy first and you wanted to come afterwards, okay? Same thing to do with your guys' things, okay? A lot of people get very nervous in their storytelling. For me, it was very difficult at first to tell my story. First off, because you don't think it's that cool, and second off, it's always kind of this weird thing to talk about yourself. If you guys know me in my real life, I'm not the kind of person that like meets you at a group and like, oh, by the way, I don't know if you know, I hung out with Tony Robbins. Oh, and I got my own plane. Like, I hate people like that, and I'm not like that typically, and I know most of you guys probably aren't like that either. In fact, in my personal life, I'm really shy. If you go to church with me, no one in my church knows what I do or who I am or anything. It's really cool. So I'm really shy like in my personal life, but I'm here, you've got to portray that, portray, whatever that word is, you got to do that to people, okay? Because that's what's going to get them to want to come to you, okay? So it's very important to be willing to do that. And I know it's going to be awkward and nervous and things like that at first, but if you're willing to give out that kind of stuff, it's going to attract people to you, okay? And that's key to this whole business. Okay? If you really don't have a good story, you know, get a testimonial from a client or whatever it is, use their story, but make sure there's some kind of story because that's what's going to get people to want to listen to you and want to come back and partake of what you've got. Okay. All right, so in the middle section, so now we've covered your story, those type of things. In your middle section here is where you're kind of covering all the content. Okay? People got on the webinar because they want to learn something. Okay? Usually the hook you got them on is, hey, if you come to this webinar, you're going to discover this thing. You're going to learn something really cool, right? So that's really important, is there's some kind of content that's happening there in the middle. Okay, now with your content, I've heard a lot of people, you know, kind of share different ways they do this and things like that. What I try to do is I try to teach as much as I can. I'm usually guilty of over-teaching. A lot of times if you teach too much, it will hurt your sales. But if you can teach, Ryan Dice used to call, he said it needs to be useful but incomplete. Okay, so like really good stuff that they can use, but it's like, but I need something else. You know, like that all makes total sense, but I need the software, I need the thing, or I need the whatever that kind of thing is. Okay, so you get useful but incomplete. Now, when I'm building out my content pieces, there's 3 kind of core things I'm trying to do. And on page 7 is where I talk about this. The first one is you want to make sure your content is prolific. And what I mean by prolific is it needs to be something that people go, huh, that's kind of cool. Because if you say something and people are like, yep, pretty much everyone knows that. Okay, they're not going to be very excited. And that's probably one of the biggest sins I see people doing webinars or teleseminars or anything, is their stuff's not prolific. It's like the exact same thing everyone else is talking about. Like, the number one secret about internet marketing is there's this thing called Google. And on Google, you can put ads on it. And those ads will drive people to your website. Yeah. And people are like, yeah, seriously, like, who doesn't know that? Okay, that's a lot of people are doing. You want to make sure it's some kind of thing, okay? Like, if you ever see me speak, when I talk about traffic generation, I don't typically share like what the core thing we do. We get joint venture partners. We rent lists, things like that. Like the core things we do aren't sexy because everyone knows that, and they're not. So when I tell people stories, I find like what are the coolest things we're doing. They may not have the biggest bang for the buck, but it's the things people are like, holy crap, that is awesome. I can't believe Russell figured that out. Okay, because that's what people want to hear. They want you to be prolific. They want something different. They want to be entertained. They want that's what they're looking for, something different like that. So that's what you want to be sharing with people. Okay, so make sure it's something different, unique. If you do that, that's what's going to get people excited. It's funny, we did, I spoke at Dan Kennedy's event last April, and I was on stage for 6.5 hours, had 4 presentations. I apologize for you guys who were in the room for that long listening to me. But it was funny because we did this whole thing on traffic generation, and it was like all these different, they wanted the whole presentation to be on shiny objects, like internet marketing shiny objects. Like everyone wanted the shiny objects. So I'm sharing all these shiny objects, and people were like, flipping out. They're so excited by this and that and all sorts of stuff. And afterwards, like, one guy, like, of everybody, one guy came up to me. He's like, so what percentage of your traffic comes from shiny objects? I was like, serious? Like, maybe 3%? Like, all the rest comes from, like, traditional, like, the fundamentals. And he's like, oh, that's what I thought. But I'm like, the fundamentals don't sell. People don't get excited by the fundamentals. You got to get people excited, okay? So what are the most prolific, exciting things you've got? That's what's going to get someone to be sucked in, okay? Okay, the next thing, during the content piece, people are going to have concerns, okay? And typical concerns are price point, it's too hard for me, it's whatever it is. All the major concerns people are going to have, I want you to list those out ahead of time. Okay? So on page number 7, there's a little spot there, but list out, here's the concerns that most people are going to have with buying my product. Okay? And what you want to do is, after you know what those concerns are, is you want to orchestrate your content to answer those concerns during the content. Okay? So for example, the first time I learned this was from a guy named Mike Chen. He had a software called Make Your Own Software, and I think he was selling it for like $200 or $300. And we did a teleseminar. Before the teleseminar, he kind of coached me through it. He said a lot of people, the biggest concern with this product is that it's too expensive. So he's like, so what we need to do is, one of the questions you need to ask me during the teleseminar is I want you to say, hey, Russell, or hey, Mike, one thing that amazes me about software is the fact you're only charging $297 for it. You know, people that typically hire a programmer, it's like tens of thousands of dollars to get software created, yet you can create unlimited products with your software program for just $300. Why did you price it so low? Okay, so that was the question I asked, and what did that do instantly? Everyone had the concern of like, man, this is way too expensive. All of a sudden they're like, crap, that is a lot cheaper. I could hire a programmer to spend $10,000, but I get for $300, I can create as many as I want. Okay, we crushed it on that teleseminar too. So figure out what those concerns are. You just going to be a pricing thing, maybe a timing, like I don't have the time, or I'm not smart enough to do it, or I'm not technical, or whatever the major things you guys are going to have. And you probably know what they already are, right? I guess most of you guys know what your major concerns are going to be. So figure out what those concerns are, and you're going to kind of resolve them during the content. Okay, you weave those in, and it's really fun like that. The other thing I learned from Dustin Dave, which was really good. Oh, thank you. Okay. The one thing I learned from Dustin Dave that was really good, they said every time they share like a content piece, so they share something like for example, let's just say it's Google pay-per-click, right? So I share, hey, Google pay-per-click, da-da-da-da-da, and then the concern a lot of people are going to have in my market is like, pay-per-click sucks, it's too hard, it doesn't work in today's market, because that's what the message that all these like gurus are telling people, right? So if I'm talking about pay-per-click, I want to say it and then say, now one thing I want to show you, a lot of people are concerned because, hey, pay-per-click doesn't work today, but let me show you a testimonial of someone who's actually doing pay-per-click today in today's market right now, and they show a testimonial that resolves that concern. Okay, the real estate guys do a great job of this because nobody believes real estate still works, right? Does anyone here still believe in real estate? Like, let's go invest our money in real estate. Okay, yeah, there's still real estate gurus selling the crap out of this stuff, okay? And the way they do it is they say basically like, here's how to do a short sale. Now, I know, you've been told on the news short sales don't work, but check out this dude right here. He did a short sale yesterday. Yesterday he did it. Okay, by following my system. He did it yesterday. This stuff still works. Okay, so that's kind of what they do, and that's something you should be doing as well. When you share something, especially something that might be kind of like people are confused about, share a relevant testimonial that's going to resolve that concern. Okay, again, it's all being happened during the content part of it. Okay, and again, the last part there, number 7, is strengthen these concepts with and concerns with testimonials. Okay, one of the ones that I love, we've used Dee a couple times in the webinar about was, she's a great grandma. She hasn't made money online with other things before in the past yet. This still work for her. So like. I might say in the webinar, like, a lot of you guys, you've tried a lot of programs before, you've gone through other gurus' things. Let me share with you Dee's testimony. Here's a video of her kind of telling her, in the video she said, I've tried all of these other things and none of them worked for me. I tried network marketing, internet marketing, none of them worked. This is the first thing I made money with. I was like, that's gold. That's like the greatest testimony I can have. So I plugged that in right in the middle of the webinar. So everyone in their heads is just saying, I'm not technical. I've tried internet marketing before and it never worked for me in the past. Okay, I want to plug that in right there when they're thinking that thing in their head and answers the concern and resolves it right there for them. Okay, the more ways I can resolve those concerns and knock them out, the better. Okay. Any questions about the content part at all? Yeah, let's grab a microphone over here.
Just a quick question about testimonials, especially when you're launching a new product. So I'm assuming what you do is you get your automated webinar up, and as you get testimonials, as you go along, you start changing it and putting in those testimonials.
Yeah, that's what we
like
did.
Right now, what we're doing is we're getting people to do the program and system now, trying to get testimonials. But I'm sure after a while, because I think that's the hardest part, is actually getting those testimonials when you're about to launch a brand new product.
Yep. I agree 100%. When we first launched ours, luckily we had launched like a beta group at .com Secrets Local, and we had a couple people had success. So we used those initially, but even like in our registration video, I need to change this. But our registration video, we didn't have any like video testimonials about .com Secrets Local. So what we did is we said, I can't remember. It says some of the script. We'll read the script in a couple pages. But it basically says something like, your face. Let me show you some videos. People who were faced with a similar thing, just like you, just a little while ago, and they decided to work with Russell. And I showed testimonies of them working with Russell, not so much the program. And that's what we did then. But then after we got like Dee's and Russell's, a bunch of other people's testimonials were coming in, then we started grabbing those and bribed them to give us video testimonials and slid those into the webinar and the registration and all those other things.
When you say bribe, what do you mean?
Check out his cool shirt he's got on. Seriously, t-shirts are one of the best. Like, you guys, who here's ever gone through Insanity before? That Insanity program? Okay, if you go through Insanity, what do you get at the end of it if you actually complete it? You get a t-shirt. People freak out for the t-shirt. So when we did this, we said, let's do a 30-day challenge. Anyone who completes it, let's send them a t-shirt that says .com Secrets Local on it. And it's been great. So everyone signs up. They have 30 days to make one sale. If they do that, they get a t-shirt. And it works great. And yeah, and then they get a cool t-shirt they walk around. They're promoting your business as well and things like that. That's what we've been doing. Because I've always been really bad at getting testimonials. So that was the first thing we did, is like, how do we get people? So a lot of times people have success with their stuff and they never tell you. So if you can bribe them with something cool like that, that helps, obviously. That's what started getting people like sending us like, well, I just closed this deal too. Oh, and then we do it. As soon as we get them, like, we talk about it. Like, we put it on our blog, we send an email out and things like that, because we want other people saying, man, I want to be like Dee, I want to be like Russell, I want to have success too. And they start seeing those things. And so we just keep putting it out and keep talking about it. When new ones come in, we send them out just so everybody can kind of see them and put them out in the forefront.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Any other questions about the content part at all? Or testimonials or anything? Okay, cool. Oh, cool. Page number 8, I forgot 2 other things. Another thing, page number 8 in the content piece is you want to aggregate the problem, aggregate the problem. So what's the problem that your person's having? Okay, so for us, with .com Secrets Local, it's kind of interesting because there's been 4 or 5 people that have really done a good job in the last 2 years teaching like local marketing. But like, what's different from ours versus everybody else's? And so the newest version of the webinar, if you saw ours, we actually hand sketched out this whole like storyboard thing. Where the first one was, I wish I would have brought him with me. Maybe I'll bring him tomorrow. It was a video about Joe, the local consultant. And Joe's like this little nerdy guy. We sketched out this little nerdy guy, and then there's like this cute girl who's like Patty's pet store, and Joe's trying to pitch Patty on like being, why she should hire her as a consultant. Okay, this whole sketch out animation we did, and then basically it was like, this is like, if you bought any other Guru's courses, this is what they taught you how to do. And so Joe walks in things like, hey, I want to be your internet marketing consultant, and then he goes on basically saying, yeah, I can do SEO for you, you can do all this kind of stuff. And she started asking questions, and he's like, well, I've never actually done SEO. Well, I bought the course last week. Well, and kind of like, what most people actually struggle with. So that was like That's what most people's courses are. And they said, now when you become .com Secrets consultant, here's the difference. We have .com Secrets Joe come in. He's a big, huge muscle dude. And he comes in and he pitches Patty's Pet Store, and he knows the answer to every single question and all the differences that we provide as a company. So we played off of that, okay? So we showed the problem with if you bought any of the other gurus' courses, this is the problem you're probably facing. Is it not right? And most people are like, yeah, I'm facing that problem. Okay, and I don't have this, I don't have this, I don't have this. Well, the difference is with us, you can do this over here. Okay, so we're finding that problem, aggravating, and then showing what our solution is going to be. Okay, if you look at any good copywriting, it's all about finding a problem, aggravating it, and then providing a solution. John Carlton told a story one time that I heard about. He wrote a product for a men's balding product, and he said that if you would have read that sales letter and you were a bald man, and you would have been completely fine with being bald ahead of time, after you read that sales letter, you'd be so self-conscious about the fact you were bald, you'd be freaking out, you want to buy that product. Okay. And he says that's the whole goal, is to find that problem and just aggravate it. If you do that, it gets people like really freaking out. Okay, so create a problem and aggravate it. And then this is one that I've been doing that works really good. It's called opening a math loop. I'm going to switch. What's the trick to switch over to PowerPoint?
Push the display button.
Display. Input. This is something I started doing with one of my presentations. Actually, okay, the first time I ever did it was with.
Yeah, turn the computer back on.
First time I ever did it was with a product we created. Is it off?
I think it's asleep.
It's off. Okay, I'll draw this out while I'm going. So the very first time I ever did this was with a product where we're teaching people about residual income. Okay, so basically it was a site where we were selling people done-for-you membership sites. So you have a membership site, you have a membership site, you have a membership site. So this is kind of like a long journey, but hopefully this will make sense to you guys conceptually because it works so great if you can put it in your product. Some people can't, but if you can figure out a way to make it works so good. So the way I pitched in the sales letter was basically say, okay, I have a membership site, and it pays me $37 a month per member. So if I put in one member, I get out $37 a month. If I put in 10 members, I'm making, $370 a month. If I put in 1,000 members, I'm making $37,000 a month, right? So I put one member in, out comes $37. I put 10 members in, $370. Put in 100, $3,700. I put in 1,000, $37,000. Okay, so I show it. So this is my membership site. This is how it works. This is the math behind my membership site. Now, and then I went on this tangent of, now for most of you guys, $37,000 a month isn't really realistic. It doesn't make sense to you. You're like, you know, that sounds really nice, but that's like a pie in the sky dream. So what I want to talk to you guys about really quick are what are your primary bills? What are the primary things you guys struggle with right now? Okay, you probably have a house payment, you're paying, I don't know, $1,500, $2,000 a month for your house payment. You've got a car payment, you're paying, you know, $300, $600 a month. You've got this and this. So what I want to talk to you about is just, I want to help you replace your primary income, okay? Because if you want to quit your job, you can't just quit overnight. So let's replace all of your bills. What's your first bill? Your first bill is your car, okay? And you're looking at $500 a month. And your second car, you know, is your house, and you're looking at whatever. So what I want you to do is, my first goal is to cover your car payment. So if I can give you this membership site, and if you get 20 people into the membership site, just 20 people, not 1,000, just 20 people to join the membership site, you're going to be making $740 a month. Okay, so 20 people is going to replace your car payment. Okay, do you think you can get 20 people to sign up for this program? Just 20 people. If you get 20 people, your car is free now. Okay, so your car payment's done. Now let's figure out the next thing. So you got your house payment. So if we can sign up, I don't know the math, let's say 50 more people, that covers your house payment, okay? Do you think if you spend 8 hours a day focusing on this, you can sign up 50 people in the next 3 months? Okay, that's one person every third day. Do you think you can do that if you spend full time doing that? Well, yeah, that makes a lot of sense, okay? Okay, sweet. So we do that. Now your car payment's done. So now your house payment's done, your car payment's done. Now all the money you make from your job is just pure cash, okay? And let's say you want to go buy a new car. For example, I just bought this new Lexus, and it's out in the thing. It's an old Lexus now, but when it was brand new when I was selling this thing, right? This Lexus, I bought it was $600 a month car payment, but I didn't go pay $600 a month. I went and I signed up 30 new members, and it pays for my car. Okay, so again, start thinking like that, like this is the math behind how the whole thing works. Okay, so that's the math I do right here. Now this is working. I'm going to show you how I actually do this in my micro-continuity presentation. So I haven't done a lot of stage selling in the last few years, but back when I was doing it, the one presentation I did the most volume with was micro-continuity, and I used a really powerful math close in here. Let's see. Okay, so some of you guys, any of you here are familiar with the whole concept of micro-continuity? Okay, it's like building a mini membership site, and basically we talked about like giving away a free CD, and you get someone in, they join the program. So I talked about the whole concept, and I said, let me show you some results. So this is one of our products we did called Zuby, and So this product, we sold 4,000 copies of it. From the 4,000 people were on continuity program paying us, I can't remember what the money was. So we're basically making $40 a month. So $160,000 a month continuity we're making off these 4,000 people we put into there. We had $186,000 in upsells. So basically, we made $46.50 for every CD we gave away. I used to be really fluid in this when I'd been giving this presentation a lot, but it's been like 3 years. So for every CD we gave away, we made $46. We made $120 in continuity income. If we assume they stayed on for 3 months, it means we averaged $145 for $145 DPL on the phones minus the hard costs. So we made $259 for every single CD we gave away. Okay, who here thinks they can give away a CD? Okay, you can do one a day. So that's going to go in there. And I say, okay, now what if you think, hey, Russell, you're an internet marketing guru. Of course you gave away all this stuff. So what if you're horrible and you suck and you're not good at this at all? And you only do 1/3 as good as I did with Zuby, which was one of my worst products ever. What if you do as third as I did? If you do as third as I good, that means instead of making $250 per CD, you only make $86 per CD. Okay, that means you totally screw this thing up. You botch it up. You only make $86 per CD. What does that mean in actual hard numbers? Let's talk about that. So the first thing is if you give away 1 CD a day, could you give away 1 CD a day if you spend 8 hours a day? Could you give away 1 CD a day? Think that's like realistic for most of you guys? Okay, I just want to make sure I'm not like pushing you too hard. Okay, if you do that, that's a $31,000 a year job. Who here is making more than $30,000 or less than $30,000 a year right now? Okay, if you can quit your job and give away 1 CD a day, and you're making $31,000 a year. Does that sound good? Again, that's if you screw up and you only do a third as good as I do. Okay, now hold on, let's do some more math. What if you give away 2 CDs a day? Okay, now I know some of you guys are going to be really aggressive and you're going to work twice as hard and give away 2 CDs a day. How much money do you think that is? You do the math, that's $63,000 a year you're going to make if you give away just 2 CDs a day. Okay, now let's say you guys go crazy and you really want a 6-figure-year business. Let's say you go and you give away 4 CDs a day. Guess how much money that's going to make? That'll make you $126,000 a year by just giving away 4 CDs a day. Okay, you guys see what I'm doing? I'm making this so simple. It's like, well, crap, if I had 8 hours a day to just give away CDs, I could be making 126 G's a year. That's a lot of money. Okay? And then again, that's assuming you screw up, you'll do as third as good as me, and you never sell me anything else. So I talk about that. And then I go into the next part of my content, which is, okay, now that you get the process of how to give away a CD a day, let me show you a couple ways to give away 1 CD a day. And I show one way. So I show, here's what we call, skip forward. This is called the Oprah traffic method. And I share what the Oprah traffic method is. We're basically, this is back when Oprah was still on. I show this whole thing about how simple it is to get ranked and you can give away thousands of CDs from Oprah. I'm like, now, you guys think if you follow that one system, you can give away at least 1 CD a day? And like realistically, if you follow that, you give away like 1,000 a day. So like everyone's like, well, crap, of course I can give away. Okay, that's just one thing. Let me show you another system. Okay, and I go to the next one. Let's see. Oh, come on. These are like these little tricks I do in the middle to help close the sale. I'll talk about those in a little bit. So I'm skipping right now just to get things. So I show here's a software right here. You can use to basically get every single thought leader in the world to be blogging about your product. Here's how it works. Who thinks you can use that concept to give away 1 CD a day? Okay, boom. If you do that, then I spend you another $31,000 a year. Let me show you one more. So I show them 3 different ways I can teach them how to give away 1 CD a day. And then I'm like, and I have 74 others of these as well. I just don't have time to go over all of them right now. But think, if you just apply just one of those, that's $31,000 a year. You pick 4 of them, you're making $100,000 a year. You use all 72 of them, how much money you'll be making in your business? Okay, now I kind of like lead them there and I let them go, and then their mind starts wandering like, holy crap. Okay, so that's what I call my math close. And so I'm doing that in my content, having some kind of math thing. Okay, so a lot of times, if you're in a make money product, there's a way you can kind of do that. And again, it's going to be different for every single person's product. This is not something that's like templatized. You have to kind of think about this and how it'll work. I see people do it where they're in a process where they're trying to save money, like lowering your tax payments or lowering things like that. You know, debt things. So there's different ways you can do it. And it may not work for all of you guys or every market, but if you can make it work, it's very, very powerful when you come to your close. Because they've already got in their head that, man, I can do this if I just do this 1 or 2 simple tasks. Okay, we made a lot of money with this presentation. Who here kind of wants to buy this product now just from me hinting at it? Okay, all right. Well, we got sign-up sheets in the back. Just kidding. Okay. Yeah, see, notice here, this is kind of cool. It's traffic system number 61. So I'm skipping around. Like, okay, number 4 was this, number 32 is this, number 61 was this. I've got 74 of them. If you sign up in the back of the room, you get all 74 of them. Just come on back with me, okay? And it will work really, really good. I might make a webinar version of this someday soon because it'd be fun. Anyway, okay. So that's what I want to show you now. Let me switch back over here. Okay, so that's what a math, opening the loop of the math close, or open math loop is in the book when you read that. It's that kind of doing that. In network marketing, you can use that a lot of times if you're selling a network marketing program. Use their comp plans to do all their magic, make your numbers work, stuff like that. Okay, any questions about that at all? I know that's one that's not really as tangible. It's like, here's step 1, 2, and 3. It's something you got to think more about. But if you can make it work in your presentation, it's gold. I made a lot of money with that presentation. Okay. All right. What time are we at? We're at 10 o'clock? We're still doing good? Okay. All right, page number 9. So after you get done with your content, you need to do your transition. This is my favorite picture on page number 9. I went to Google Images and I was like looking for stuff, and I saw it's this little redheaded girl with a fire hose like shooting her. And so anyone who's ever obviously heard me speak, you guys will feel this by the end of today and by the end of tomorrow, is I speak really, really fast. So I get done, and when you're trying to sell something, actually the faster you speak, the better it is. People catch less of it, but they feel like the energy and excitement, and they want it more. So that's why it's funny when I speak to sell, people are always like, slow down. I'm like, if I slow down, you will not buy this product. And so like, yeah, so I go through this, and I do my whole pitch, and then I said, okay, who here feels a little bit like this? And I show a little redheaded girl getting shot with a fire hose, and everyone laughs, like, oh, yeah, we feel like that. Okay, well, let me ask you a question, okay? And that's always my transition. Let me ask you a question. How would you like to blah, 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 okay? So for microcontinuity, it'd be like, how would you like for me to take all this effort off your hands? How would you like for me just to give you all my systems? Okay, instead of you going out and building 74 traffic systems, studying $500,000 in courses, and spending the next 6 years doing that, how would you like me just to give you everything I just created? Okay, that's my transition. How do you go from like, from I understand this whole thing, it seems really, really cool, to let me make this really easy for you. Okay, during your content piece, it's almost better to kind of overwhelm them a little bit with just, we want to make sure, we want them to think it's going to be very simple. We want them to think, but man, it's going to take a lot of time and effort, because you want them to get excited, but then like kind of that feeling of like, oh, okay. If you can get like the excitement plus like the weighted down feeling at the same time, that's when you've got them in the right spot. That's when you know you're going to be able to close the sale, because that's when they want that thing so bad, but they're nervous because they know it's going to take a lot of effort. And your product is the solution, is going to be able to help alleviate those problems for them as much as possible. Okay. So for me, I use that picture. You don't have to use a picture like that, but something like that to kind of basically transition from away. Okay. You guys can't see right here, but here's my transition statement for microcontinuity. Let me ask you a question. Okay, and that kind of takes everyone from this whole like note taking, to like, okay, let me ask you guys a question. They all kind of stop and look up. You get your attention again. Okay, now you can move on and transition into your sales portion. Okay. All right, so right here's transition. All right. Okay, any questions about the transition at all? That's obviously pretty simple. I'd make sure that whatever you're selling, if there's some kind of like done for you element in it, it makes the transition close very simple, because you have the ability to say something like, let me ask you a question. How would you like me to help you with all this kind of stuff? Okay, because then you have something in there. So with microcontinuity, what we did is we actually created a microcontinuity website for everyone. And then we gave them all the traffic systems as well. So like, here, it's going to take a long time to build a site. We'll just give you a site. It's already done. It's already working. It's already converting. Plus, we give you all the traffic systems. Now you just have this whole package of stuff you can go back and do. We also have the training, all the other stuff, so if you want to make your own. But this way, you're in business today. Okay, and that gets people really excited.